Master Grade Aegis Gundam.
Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert, 184, 2Rs2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and it's Pink Mobile Suit Day. Well, for the Garaga, just a little bit of pink there. But more importantly, the Master Grade Aegis is all put together, so let's take a look at some of the parts, some of which are pretty interesting, before it gets transformed into the MS and then transformed again into the MA. With the manual there, the contents of the box that you've already seen and those empty plates are going to result in this very strange looking mobile suit here. You can see that the legs and arms are going to look suspiciously similar there. Large waist skirts, some very interesting construction there for the arms and the side of the body, to go along with a very unique chest and head section. With extras including the shield and the digits there, and you've got some extra sets of 4 digits there, a standing Athrun with his hand out impressively, and the effect parts to add to the very pointy toes. And in addition to the regular black and gray lining markers, most of this kit was lined with brown on top of the pink, and it's always nice to use this Real Touch marker to get rid of the cut marks and that white discoloration. When you start putting this together, it's really fun to see just how similar they're going to make the arms and the legs, but the question is, do they suffer for it? First of all, you've got these solid hips up there with a connector, and you're going to have just these 2 parts. Nothing too fancy for the knee bend, or you're not going to have anything fancy up there for the upper legs, but you are going to see a little bit of gray open up when you bend this down, and if you go like this, you're going to get a nice bend there with the knee, and it's going to expose some gray inner frame, and the gray parts that are sticking out here are going to look really good whether they are top or bottom. Down below, you're going to have these 2 parts which are going to open up out of the way, and the ankle joint is going to move around pretty well. Before it's capped off with a very strange looking foot here that's going to make perfect sense when you see it compared to the forearms. First of all, 2 pink parts there with a polycap that's just going to accept that, and you can see a gray and otherwise hollow down there where you're going to have this pointy white part here which is going to look very good as it stands up, and probably even better with the effect parts on there. And then you're going to have this gray part here which is going to allow this flap to move up and down as you can position things for the transformation. Before moving on to the waist section here, which first of all for color is going to introduce some blue there as we've got some gray grid lines, and these pink front skirts are a little bit flimsy. They're actually supposed to sit on there poorly and rotate off to the side, or so it seems, but it just doesn't seem like this one wants to stay on all that well. For the rest down here, when you take a look at it, you're going to be able to bend this whole mechanism out like this, which is just going to split things up. As well, you can move the hips up or down if you want to do different poses there. So that's a nice touch usually, and a lot more solid than things that we've seen on Destiny and things like that in the past. And for the rear skirts, this is going to be very, very small, and it's going to have this little cap here that you can just slide on and off. But of more interest is probably going to be these side skirts, which are attached on here, because they are absolutely massive, pretty much a first grade Exia size right there. In terms of moving parts, they are actually going to have a few. You're able to open this up. I probably should have put some lining in there, and that's just going to expose a little bit of gray, but some nice details throughout as you're going to have those gray thruster veins back there, and also the ability, Bandai's getting better and better at this. They didn't go for it here on the front, but you're going to slap 2 pink pieces on either side, and that's just going to reveal all of that nice gray on the inside, so they don't have to use too much plastic. Nice wingtips down there in white. You're also going to have some gray thrusters there, and otherwise it's going to be a nice mix of blue and pink and gray throughout, so very interesting looking. And from the side, this chest section is going to look very interesting, and it's only when you look at it straight on that you just say, hey, what happened to the rest? This is going to be the skinniest beanpole Gundam that you've ever seen, although you're going to see in a moment that there's a good reason for it. First of all, you can see this, which I always forget to show off, so you can open that up and reveal a little tiny Athrun sitting inside with his father issues, as is a really good thing to see for any Gundam character. And for the front, you're going to have these blue parts here, which are going to rotate around, and these pink parts, which dangle down below, are not actually going to be fitting on there all that well, so you can just see that they're going to move. That's going to come into play, though, a little bit later. Of more interest are these parts on the back, where you're able to bend this up on down, and you can also move this around. Really good to see this nice solid white around the pink there. It's going to look good no matter what angle you look at it from. And the kind of details here, inside this navy blue piece, there's all sorts of details on the inside that it's a little bit of a shame that you're going to cover it up with the pink parts there. Still, the attention to detail is always appreciated, and this whole thing, you can see that it's going to separate there and open up, and you're going to see all of this in the transformation, including this all-important Mega Hyper Mega Blaster. which is going to have these funky shoulders attached onto it, although not directly. There's going to be a piece in between, and you'll notice this nice solid gray part that's going to go around there. These pink parts are 2 parts in there. I didn't go for any lining. I think it's going to look good as it is. And up here for the tops of the shoulders, you can see that they're going to separate in a very knee-like fashion, and that this part here can move ever so slightly as well. Down below here, though, you're going to notice that it's very, very hollow, which is a little bit off-putting. It does at least have this pink panel there hanging off to the side. Things are going to start to make sense, though, once you put the arms together, because you're going to see some of the similarities with the legs, starting with just the fact that they're very skinny here. You can see this part up here, in terms of the bend for the arm, which is going to be important for posability. You can see that you're going to get almost a 180 there. You can see that you're going to have this attachment point on either side if you want to take things like the shield and plug that in. But of more interest is just the way that you're going to have this part on here, and you'll notice that it looks something like the ankles, and there's a good reason for that, because you're able to take this part and it actually plugs in very, very securely back there. And when you pop this out, you're going to bring it down and you're going to start to see a lot of similarities there to the heels and the toes with these nice little pink details. Fold that up and fold this up and you could almost have a bizarre set of 4-legged beasts, something similar to the Mirage Frame's 2nd issue. But the most important piece to this puzzle is going to be attached onto the chest here, because you're going to have this strange little connecting part there that's going to have what seems like a shoulder, but actually that's going to get stuck into the middle of the chest here, and you put those on either side, and all of a sudden you're going to have a much more filled in chest with the shoulders up there in the right direction. But then you can see that this is going to be able to bend down, and after you take this and you attach the shoulders on here and then plug the arms in, all of a sudden this big hollow space is going to make a lot of sense, as you can take all of those parts and bend them into something that's going to look pretty much identical to the leg itself. Remember, this is going to be stuck into the side. This is the actual shoulder up here, and then you've got the arm where everything has just been turned around and made to look very, very foot-like. And when they're like that, you would hardly know the difference between the arms and the legs, so very interesting design here and well pulled off, definitely worthy of being a master grade. This is the arm up there. You can see that you're going to have the knee parts. They've even got those little gray details in the same place. You've got all the same frame here. The way everything's put together, it's only when you get down below that you're going to notice that this is going to have attachment points and this one is not, but otherwise the feet, the claws, everything here is going to make this guy look almost identical, except for the fact that there is going to be another additional gray part here where this part can bend up, and this one is just going to have some lining opportunities. But when you do flip them underneath, you're going to start to see the difference, as you can clearly see the arm on the inside of that hollow shoulder, whereas here on the leg, you're going to have this part which is going to slide up and allow for a little bit of sliding up and down. The rifle now is going to be a little bit of fun, even though it does come across as being just a little bit skinny. At least it's got the 2 barrels down there, a good hole at the end there. And you're going to have, for moving parts, this part here. You're going to have this little part here, which looks like it can slide in somewhere. But of more interest is just on the back, that you're going to be able to close this up and open it up. If you wanted to metallicize this, I'm sure you can make it look a lot more interesting with that blue seal there. But it seems like Athrun always has cool shields, and this one definitely does it justice as well. You're going to have this nice yellow part here, and it's also going to have an attachment point with the white parts going all around, just some gray lining in there. And you can see some more white parts that are just going to emerge through this pink part here that's just going to have slits cut in there. White underneath. When you flip it over, you're going to see all white there. A little bit unfortunate that this is going to be hollow. You could also paint it up gray if you wanted to make it even more impressive looking. And you're going to have the ability here to flip this up and down so you can choose which point you want to attach it onto. And if you want to talk about interesting beam sabers, well, how about this? You're going to be getting 4 of these, and they're identical. They're going to slide in there, and you can see the way that they're just going to be pinched on either side on 3 points. However, they are looking very, very cool. And how about that? The pose is definitely going to speak volumes, and to paint him up in his red coat would be even louder. But finally, it's on to the head, which has got to be one of the coolest looking heads, I'd say, in all of Gundam. It's got the commander's fin right where it should be, with some very cool, why not put some more camera lenses on there, instead of making it just for decoration, and, I mean, I'm supposed they're communication devices for the others, but I digress. Here, for the rest of the colors, you're going to have pink solid all over the place, some brown lining that I've included. Looks like I forgot to do one of the sides there. Blue camera lenses there. These are clear parts underneath, so if you wanted to paint them up, you could. I'll go with the reflectiveness, though, of this. It's cool that he's got the Vulcans there, very pronounced and very gray, and that's going to be off in the cheeks as opposed up at the temples there. The nice big pink goatee that's going to stick forward. And I did go with the up-down Victory Gundam line there on the face. Think it looks pretty good there, and he also has white under the eyes. The green parts are going to look pretty good, but of more interest is that, again, you're going to have a clear part there for both camera lenses, covered up in seals in this case, but what you can do with that is you can slide this whole thing forward, and then you're actually able to take this horn and bend it back a little bit, and you're also going to have these, the V-fins, the unicorn-esque ones here, or Zeta Gundam, that they are going to bend back, and everything's going to look good, but either way, the most important thing is that when it's right like this just screams Aegis, and I think they couldn't have done a better job. So putting this kit together was absolutely a lot of fun for a few reasons. First of all, the colors are going to be really good. The plates are well laid out. Everything is clear and easy to do. The real interesting thing, though, is just going to see all the engineering that's going to be required for the transformation, mostly in the chest and the waist section. These side skirts are immense and very cool, if not a little bit seemingly very kibbleish. But more interesting, of course, is just going to be how you're going to be able to take the arms and the legs, which seemingly look different from a distance, and yet make them look so similar when you do the transformation, outside of the fact that one has an effect part on and one doesn't. Combine it with a great looking shield and a fantastic looking head, and I can't wait to see this kit put all together. So stick around for that to see the mobile suit, and as always, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. The shade of pink, the shade of pink, I approve. Also, blades for your kicks, yeah, that I really approve of and probably should have thought of in hindsight. The color of the plastic, I approve. The blades on the feet, yeah, in hindsight, I really should have thought of that myself.